Hey everybody out there, this is Seto, and today for you guys I want to do a little bit of deck theory, deck discussion on something that I've noticed, especially the last year and a half, more so than I did throughout Yu-Gi-Oh's history. Granted, this is a thing that's been going on for ages, probably since we started having any sense of a combo in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh being a basic combo play. Be it probably going back to Chaos Dragons, where how many lights and darks do you run, and why do you run them? I think it goes all the way back to that. But that is a balance between power versus consistency. Now, a lot of top tier decks out there have a good balance of power and consistency. I think we all can agree to that. For the most part, a top tier, tier 1 deck has power and consistency nowadays. Now that everything's for the most part, an archetype. Now, granted, we have things now where people will take one archetype and another archetype that fits well together, and they'll mush them together. We see this more and more, especially over the course of the last 3 to 4 years, as archetypes became more prevalent, going back to probably I'd say even longer than that, maybe the last 5-6 years. But we've noticed that more and more people taking different archetypes, mushing them together because they have consistency, they gel well together, which is perfectly fine. You're taking different engines and putting them together. But the thing I've also noticed is people, you'll see even top tier decks. For example, there'll be a top tier deck, right? And they'll play different variations of the same top tier deck. Now, I could get into this could take a different complete turn of where I'm going to talk about and get into this video, but there's different reasons for that, of course. This deck counters the other versions of the deck. This deck, they believe, they've done more theory crafting, it's worked better. There's a load of different things we could talk about, but that's a different topic, and that's not where I'm going with this video. The reason I'm creating this video, and I want to give a little bit of backstory on this, because a comment I get very commonly asked nowadays: why don't you run certain cards? Now, I'm not saying this about my deck profile per se or anything of that nature. I'm not perfect. I'm not infallible. Sometimes I mess up in the deck profile. Okay, I'm not perfect, guys. But what I'm trying to say is people will choose cards nowadays, I notice, on combo orientedness. And this is cool, and I think this could be a result of crush card being a thing, people playing more remotely. And what I mean by this is people will choose a more combo-oriented power strategy over a consistent strategy, where it's more consistent and has a good balance of consistency and power. I notice this in comments that I get now, because they'll mention cards that maybe I did detective work on it, probably when I was doing my deck construction, and a lot of times like, yeah, that's a cool thing, but an Ash Blossom, an Effect Veiler, something simple can easily stop that combo from going off, and then you up the creek without a paddle, or it adds brickiness to your deck, maybe, to run certain cards. Now, sometimes I run brick cards, but I try to always explain the reasons why. Harpy Pet Dragon is a perfect example of this. It gives me more options. It can easily be pitched. It's not as bricky. But that's not the point here. The point is, I noticed this trend where people are choosing more combo-oriented cards for deck construction than a good balance of consistency versus power. I have wondered for quite some time why this could be the case. And I had even thought about this some years ago, because I started noticing a spike of this happening more and more and more over time. I grew up in an era in Yu-Gi-Oh where you wanted a good balance of power and consistency. You didn't want to put all your eggs in one basket, because if a simple hand trap can easily disrupt your combo, and it's not consistently can be brought out every duel or every other duel, and it possibly can lead to very constant bricking, it's not worth it. Nowadays, people, I noticed, not everybody, but a lot of people throw that to the wayside, and I've wondered about this. Why is this the case, possibly? Why could this be a thing going on in Yu-Gi-Oh? And the constant I kept running into, and this is just me discussing this with you because I love you guys' feedback, is it could be the fact of replays on Yu-Gi-Oh. A lot of the times, I get people commenting about, well, you can do this and this because I did it on DevPro, or I did it on Yu-Gi-Oh Pro, or I did it on here and there. And I'm like, have you played it in real life? No. It goes back to the old adage, which I'm going to be honest, you can't, you know, Dev Pro, Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro, I love them. Especially now. I'm grateful that we have them, and there's could be even a new, Konami line coming out for online dueling. But they have their flaws. They're not infallible like I am. And I'm not infallible either. Everything is not great. The issue I've always had with a lot of those simulators is you either get really good hands all the time, or you can get really brick hands. I can't tell you how many times in deck construction I will take a deck online, I will test it, it will suck horribly. I will take said deck to a locals to play against buddies, against similar competition, similar decks, and it will succeed. I'm being honest here, guys. It can't be, and I wonder if people really love, this is a whole different, thing. It could read down a rabbit hole here if I wanted to. Maybe we'll dip a little bit of our toe into it. But people like watching replays now. Mega Capital G, love him to death. His channel, for the most part nowadays, for a long period of time, was what? It wasn't always replay videos. Farfa does it. A lot of the big channels do it. And I'm not ragging on them. I'm not. But I think people get the perception of, and I've wondered, and maybe this is true, they watch these constant combo-oriented things, and they think, oh, that's consistent, when it may not be as consistent as you think. And I'm being honest with that. I can't tell you how many times I'll try something out, and maybe I don't know the deck that well. I'll find something, I'll try it, and I'm just like, my gosh, this bricks awfully. I learned this a long time ago when I started this channel, probably the first 2 years in, and after that I stopped watching dev play replays, because I was like, you're cutting out the best parts of the duels. You're cutting out, you're picking and choosing the best things of the deck to show the good side, not the ugly side of the maybe you won 3 duels out of 5, out of 6, out of 7, out of 8, out of 10, and you're showing just the best sides of it. And I'm not discounting anybody. I'm not even calling out names. I'm just being honest. I've seen it. I've tested these decks, and sometimes I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. And there are some channels out there, I will admit, I will look at their deck profiles, even if they just do strictly online dueling, because I'm like, yeah, I like the way you think, your thought process in deck construction. But there are other ones I'm just like, I can see your cherry picking. And I'm not ragging. I'm not calling out names. I'm just being honest. People make assumptions off what they consume, off, Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profiles, I feel like. I don't like doing a lot of testing online. I'll do some theory crafting and play testing. But I feel like the best way you're going to test your deck out, guys, is, I hate to say it, real-life dueling, remote dueling nowadays especially, because you're going to get an idea of how your deck is going to work. The other side of the coin is not everybody has every single competitive card when it comes to real-life Yu-Gi-Oh! Sadly. I know, I wish everybody could have access to all the cards they wanted for cheap. But that's not the case in Yu-Gi-Oh! And there's multiple factors here as I wrap this up, because, I mean, it's just something I've wondered, because I've gotten so many comments about it last year, a little bit over half a year ago, even before that, even this year. I get similar comments all the time. And I don't know. From somebody who has done deck profiles on YouTube since 2013, I mean, I've noticed the rise of people doing strictly remote, not remote dueling, but just online replays. Because, not to be angry at anybody, but it's very cheap content to make and create. I hate to say it. I hate to say that, because I sometimes love, online replays. But you know, it's very easy content to create in some instances. Not hating on anybody. If that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. I don't do editing because it takes a lot of my time up. People wonder that. But so, you know, hey, look at me. I'm not, if I'm going to be honest, I don't do editing because I don't have time. If you don't have time and you like doing that, that's fine. That's fine. Do what you want to do. This is a hobby for me. I'm not trying to, you know, ruffle any jimmies, as they say. But I've wondered if that's had a adverse effect on people's perception of deck construction, is what I'm trying to get at this video. I've wondered this, and I would love to hear your feedback. Because I think it's been heightened, especially this past year, due to the fact that dueling has, for the most part, have to move strictly online a lot. And there's probably more people doing, you know, dueling on Duel Book and, you know, all these different other sites than they are probably doing remote dueling, maybe. Not everybody, but I wonder if this is a contributing factor to this mindset. Because I've gotten so many comments, and they're all similar to this. And I'll look at, they'll even sometimes comment lists, and I'm like, why are you running that? Like, that is so, that could easily be stopped by an Ash Blossom. That can easily be stopped by an Infinite Permanence and Effect Failure. You know, basic hand trap, you know, stuff. Which, if your deck can, if your main combo can be easily stopped by an Ash Blossom, which a lot of decks can be stopped by Ash Blossom. Let's give her a break. Like, we don't stop playing Blue Eyes White Dragon because of Ash Blossom, right? Yeah, Melody, neg 2. But if its main basic bread and combo, what you're trying to do, is easily stopped by Ash, where you can build a more consistent, powerful version, maybe you know, you may want to rethink your deck building. But that's just me. I don't know. I would love to hear your feedback. This is just me just having an open-ended discussion. Not trying to ruffle anybody's jimmy, so I hope that makes sense. But till next time, guys, take care. Have fun dueling. Good luck dueling. I'd love to see your comments down below. And take care, everybody. Good luck dueling to all of you.